when I was younger, I always thought that growing up was something you just stumbled into one day. I figured it was a destination you reached once you checked off all the right boxes. Graduate, get a decent job, start paying bills, and you know what, maybe even buy a house. It seemed like an equation. Adult responsibilities equaled grown up. But as I've come to realize, growing up is so much more complicated than that. It's not about ticking off milestones or following a formula. It's about becoming someone who can navigate life's uncertainties, take responsibility, and keep evolving no matter what life throws at you. Growing up, it isn't glamorous. It's not something you get a gold star for. In fact, it's often messy, uncomfortable, and filled with harsh lessons that you didn't see coming. You don't wake up one day and suddenly feel grown. You know what? It sneaks up to you, like in these small moments, sometimes through mistakes, sometimes through challenges, and sometimes through those quiet realizations that you hit when no one else is watching. In those moments, that's where you're forced to take a hard look at yourself, let go of old habits, and figure out what kind of life you really want to build. For me, growing up has been a journey of trial and error. It wasn't a straight line, and it certainly wasn't easy. It was stumbling through failures, learning to stop blaming everybody else for my problems, and realizing that happiness, success, and meaningful things don't come from outside. They come from within. They come from the choices you make every single day. I'll be honest with you, this process never really ends. Even now, I'm still learning, still growing, and still figuring it out. But the lessons I've picked up along the way have completely shifted how I approach life, work, and relationships. They've helped me take control of my life instead of waiting for things to just magically get better. One of the best examples of this is how I built Blakebill, but more on that later. I want to share what growing up has taught me, lessons I wish I had known like years ago. Now, this isn't some step-by-step guide or a list on how to be an adult. It's just my conversation on what it really takes to grow into yourself, take ownership of your life, and find some meaningful things along the way. Think of this as the roadmap I wish I had when I was younger. Let's dive in. Step 1. Stop blaming the world. For the longest time, I blamed everything and everyone else when things didn't go my way. If a project failed, I blamed the client for being unorganized. If I felt stuck in my career, I blamed my boss for not recognizing my worth. Blaming the world was easier than looking inward because it made me feel like the victim. And as a victim, I didn't have to take responsibility to fix anything. The problem with this mindset is that it keeps you stuck. Blaming others means handing over control of your life. You're saying, I can't fix this because it's not my fault. It's comforting in the moment, but prevents you from making real progress. Things only change when you take responsibility. My wake-up call came from my time as a freelancer. Payments were always delayed, transferring large files was inefficient, and deadlines were constantly being disrupted. Naturally, I was going to blame my clients. They don't respect my time, or they don't understand the effort I put in. But blaming them didn't fix anything. So that's when I've shifted my mindset and asked, what can I do to make this better? The question led to Blakebill. So that's the platform that solves the major issues freelancers face: clunky file transfers and delayed payments. Instead of waiting for the system to change, I built a solution. Blakebill made it possible for clients to pay immediately upon receiving their files. It was eliminating that need to chase down payments. It didn't just transform my workflow, it solved the same issues for countless other freelancers. This experience taught me that blaming the world is a dead end. Taking responsibility doesn't mean accepting fault for everything. It means focusing on what you can control. Whether it's improvement in communication or creating a new process, the power lies within you. If I had continued to blame my clients, I'd still be stuck in this frustrating cycle. By taking ownership, I built something meaningful that changed the game for myself and others. If I could tell my younger self one thing, it would be this, stop pointing fingers. The perfect situation won't fall into your lap, but you have the power to make things better. Taking responsibility isn't just empowering, it's the first step towards creating lasting change. Step 2, learn to sit with discomfort. For most of my life, I avoided discomfort. If something felt hard or overwhelming, I'd procrastinate or distract myself from dealing with it. I thought discomfort was something to fear, something to dodge at all costs. But here's the truth. Discomfort is inevitable, and running from it only makes it harder in the long run. What I didn't realize back then is that discomfort is where growth happens. It's a sign that you're stepping into new, unfamiliar territory, which is exactly where you need to be to evolve. Growing doesn't happen in your comfort zone. It comes from the moments when you're stretched and challenged. The key to dealing with discomfort is reframing how you see it. Instead of treating it like an enemy, think of it as a teacher. Discomfort shows you what you're capable of and pushes you to discover strengths you didn't know you had. The fear that often accompanies discomfort, the fear of failure or rejection, is normal. It's just your brain's way of signaling, this is new. It doesn't mean that you're not capable. Sitting with discomfort also means being patient. Growth takes time, and progress isn't always linear. There'll be setbacks, slow periods, But those moments are just as important as the wins. They teach you resilience and creativity, and they remind you that growth is a process. Even small everyday discomforts, admitting that you're wrong, taking responsibility, or having a difficult conversation are opportunities to practice courage. The more you face these moments, the stronger and more confident you become. Let me end off with this. Don't run from discomfort. It's where growth happens, and that's the key to becoming the person you meant to be. Step 3, take ownership of your happiness. So it took me a long time to realize that happiness doesn't come from the outside. It comes within. It's not something you achieve, it's something you create. For years, I chased the idea that external milestones would bring me lasting joy, only to find myself stuck in a cycle of striving for the next thing. Each time I hit a goal, the satisfaction evaporated almost immediately, replaced by a new set of worries, ambitions, or what's next questions. I thought that if I could just fix the circumstances around me, I'd finally feel content. But the truth is, you can have all the external success in the world, and it'll still feel empty if you haven't learned to cultivate happiness from within. Taking ownership of your happiness begins with letting go of the belief that it depends on your external factors. Happiness isn't a reward for getting everything right or achieving a perfect life. It's a mindset, a way of engaging with your life regardless of the circumstances. This doesn't mean ignoring hardships or pretending things are fine when they aren't. It means choosing how you want to respond to these inevitable ups and downs in life. It's about focusing on what you can control, your attitude, your actions, and the meaning you find in your experiences. For me, this shift in perspective was a game changer. Instead of waiting for happiness to arrive at some future destination, I started looking for it in the present. I began to focus on things that truly matter, building meaningful relationships, pursuing work that felt purposeful, and finding joy in the small everyday moments that are so easy to overlook. I realized that happiness doesn't require everything to be perfect, and it's not about absence of challenges, it's about presence of gratitude, connection, and a sense of purpose. Part of taking ownership of your happiness is learning to set boundaries and prioritize what truly matters. It's easy to get caught up in other people's expectations or to chase goals that don't align with your values. But when you let others dictate your choices, you sacrifice your own well-being. Happiness requires clarity about what's important to you and the courage to say no to what isn't. It means being intentional with your time, energy, and focus, even when it's uncomfortable or inconvenient. Another important aspect of this lesson is understanding that happiness isn't a constant state. It's not about feeling great all the time. That's impossible. Life is messy and tough. Times are inevitable. Taking ownership of your happiness doesn't mean avoiding pain or discomfort. It means finding ways to create meaning and joy in the midst of challenges. It's about balancing the difficult moments with gratitude and the good ones with recognizing that both are a part of the human experience. You gotta stop waiting for happiness to show up when you achieve the next big thing. Happiness isn't a destination you arrive at, it's a choice you make every single day. It's about taking responsibility for your own fulfillment, appreciating with what you have, and creating a life that aligns with your values and passions. The power to feel content and joyful isn't out there somewhere. It's already within you, waiting for you to claim it. Step 4, accept that you'll never have it all figured out. For years, I saw uncertainty as a problem to solve. I believed that if I planned enough, worked hard enough, or thought through every scenario, I could avoid mistakes and ensure success. I'd overanalyze decisions, convinced there was a right answer if I just looked hard enough. But life doesn't work out like that. No matter how much you prepare, there's always going to be unknowns, setbacks, and surprises. The truth is, uncertainty is a permanent part of life, and the sooner you accept that, the easier it becomes to move forward. What I've learned is that life isn't about eliminating uncertainty, it's about learning to navigate it. This realization is freeing because it removes the pressure to have everything figured out. You don't need to know every step before you start. In fact, clarity often comes through action, not before it. Taking the even smallest steps forward teaches you more than overthinking ever will. It's in the doing, the trying, and the adjusting that you figure things out. One of the hardest parts of this lesson is letting go of perfectionism. I used to believe that if I just waited for the perfect moment or the perfect plan, I could avoid failure. But perfectionism is a trap. It keeps you stuck in a cycle of waiting, second guessing, and procrastinating. The truth is, there's no such thing as a perfect plan. Progress happens when you act, even if the path isn't fully clear. Every mistake you make is an opportunity to learn, adapt, and refine your approach. Mistakes and milestones are a natural part of this process. For a long time, I was terrified of failure. I thought messing up meant I wasn't good enough or capable enough. But Over time, I realized that mistakes aren't failures, they're lessons. Every time you try something and it doesn't work out, you gain valuable insights. You learn what doesn't work, how to improve, and how to move forward. Mistakes aren't the end of the road, they're the stepping stone of growth. Embracing uncertainty also means being flexible and open to new possibilities. Some of the best opportunities in my life come from situations that I didn't plan for. If you're too rigid in your expectations, you might miss those opportunities altogether. Learning to go with the flow, adapting to changing circumstances, and trusting yourself to handle the unknown is one of the most valuable skills you can develop. Another important realization is knowing that no one else has it all figured out either. Even the people who seem to be like on top of the world are navigating their own uncertainties. Life doesn't come with a manual, and we're not figuring it out as we go. Accepting universal truth makes it easier to stop comparing yourself to others and focusing on your own journey. Stop waiting for everything to make sense. That day isn't coming, and that's okay. Life isn't about reaching a point of total clarity or certainty. It's about learning, adapting, and growing through the questions. The beauty of life lies in its unpredictability, and learning to navigate this uncertainty is where growth happens. The answers don't define you, it's how you handle the unknown that shapes who you are. Step 5, celebrate the journey. Celebrating the journey starts with the shifting of your mindset. Instead of saying, I'll be happy when I get there, ask yourself, what can I appreciate about where I am now? It's not always easy, especially when you're working towards a goal and facing setbacks. But when you reflect, you'll see that there's so much to celebrate. Each small win, lesson learned, or step forward matters. These moments are what build the foundation of your success. One of the most important lessons I've learned is to value progress, not just results. It's easy to think only big milestones deserve recognition, but the small victories are just as meaningful. Completing a project, overcoming a fear, or sticking to a habit might not seem significant, but they're proof that you're growing. Recognizing these moments keeps you motivated and reminds you how far you've come. The journey also teaches patience. Growth takes time, and progress isn't always linear. There's going to be setbacks and slow periods, but these moments are just vital as the wins. They build resilience and teach lessons you wouldn't have learned otherwise. Instead of getting frustrated, take a minute to appreciate your persistence and your effort, even when the path feels difficult. Another key part of celebrating the journey is embracing the unexpected. Life rarely unfolds as planned, and some of the best opportunities come from unplanned detours. Staying focused on the destination can make you miss the beauty and potential of the present moment. By being open to surprises and appreciating the twists and turns, you'll find joy in places you didn't expect. The people you meet along the way are also a huge part of your journey. Friends, mentors, and loved ones often make the experiencing more meaningful than the goals themselves. Shared struggles and celebrations create bonds that last far beyond milestones. Looking back, it's not just achievements that stand out. It's the people who make the journey richer. Finally, celebrating the journey means finding joy in the everyday moments. Life isn't just about the big achievements, it's also about the small, meaningful experiences along the way. A moment of quiet reflection, a laugh with a friend, or a satisfaction of completing a task can make all the difference. When you learn to appreciate them, life becomes much more fulfilling. So stop waiting for the perfect moment to feel happy or successful. Celebrate where you are now. You gotta appreciate the progress you've made, learn from the challenges, and savor the small wins. The journey isn't something to endure while you wait for the destination. It's a part of the life that matters most. Embracing it is where true joy and meaning are found.